Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nick here. First things first, new haircut. Got it today at time recording on the 3rd of June 2025, a few minutes before 1 o'clock. I had time recording, as in I got this done earlier. Secondly, this video was requested by Jean-Luc Harry, so blame him for this. And thirdly, I'm not actually feeling that great. I've got a bit of a spring/summer cold. Oh goody. But on the plus side, I'm 26 now. This is my first Toons video as a 26-year-old. Yay! It's the 11th Doctor mug one was recorded a little in advance, which is why I've got the 12th Doctor mug here today. It's a John Harry requested video. This is for him. So, I have been asked to provide a theories video on who Billie Piper is playing after appearing at the end of Doctor Who Season 2, Bad Wolf, Season 41 overall, or Series 15 of the revival, Episode 8, The Reality War. But hold the phone, as Fred Jones from Scooby-Doo would say, isn't she playing the Doctor? Well, there's been a speculation that maybe it isn't quite... things aren't quite as clear as they seem. So here's a theories video about what other characters Rose could be playing, whether she's the Doctor or somebody else, or if she is the Doctor, what's going on. Before I get into the theories video, first things first, when I heard these rumours a few weeks ago leading up to episode 7, Wish World, I did not like this idea. Nothing against Billie Piper, she's an incredible actress, she was brilliant as Rose, and in Dave the Doctor's case, the moment. But it's the same problem I had with David Tennant coming back as the 14th Doctor initially, when that was confirmed, was that they've already played characters in the show. Tennant played another Doctor, now he's come back to play a second one, or third if you count the regenerating into himself, or fourth if you count that and the duplicate Doctor. If you throw in the Lenny Henry sketch, to now he's technically playing a 5th Doctor, because that's the successor to the Lenny Henry Doctor from the Lenny Henry show sketch that they did all the way back in the 80s. Okay, that one's not quite too... You don't have to take that one seriously, that's just a bit of fun. But yeah, it's just like the bring back an old Doctor. I wasn't really so fond on that idea, but it ended up working out. I like 14. In fact, I think I like him more than 10, and he's really great. We only got him for 3 episodes as well, and we knew going into those and the minisodes and a few bits of other expanded media that it was just a temporary job between 13 and 15. And then also we've got the bi-regeneration, which I also didn't really like the idea of, but I kind of grew on the idea, although as a one-time thing for the Doctor, and to a lesser extent the Rani later on in Interstellar Song Contest. So, okay, but I still wasn't really keen on the idea of a previous companion actor coming back to play the next Doctor. I would have rather either you had someone who played a guest character or a minor character in a previous story, much like Colin Baker and Peter Capaldi did, or for companions, Freema Agyeman and Karen Gillan did, and then they get a lead role character, or they get to play the Doctor later. So, for example, someone like Russell Tovey, who was, but until his casting for The War Between the Land and the Sea, he was a suggestion for a possible Doctor, most notably for the 11th Doctor. And he had played Midshipman Frame in Voyage of the Damned, so he's a more notable secondary or tertiary character. But that would have still worked. He's playing another character in War Between the Land and the Sea, so unless they do a Capaldi being in a supporting guest character in a Doctor Who, then again in a spin-off, and then he's the Doctor. So unless they do that and Russell Tovey's like the 17th, 18th, 19th, whatever Doctor in the future, unless they do that, that's unlikely now. Or I would have preferred doing the usual, casting someone new, someone who may have not been in the show before, giving someone the chance to shine. Like, for example, Lydia West, who's worked with Rusty Davies on two of his previous recent works, Years and Years, which also starred Russell Tovey, and It's a Sin, which also starred Ollie Alexander, who was a suggestion for 14th or 15th Doctor when Rusty Davies was announced to be returning. And she technically also worked with Stephen Moffat on Dracula for an episode. So, you could have someone brand new, maybe who may have worked with the showrunners before, or maybe you launch somebody's career that's someone who's not as well known, rather than someone who is well known. So, like someone like Matt Smith at the time wasn't terribly well known, but then you kind of launched them into the stratosphere a bit more, or someone who is a bit more well known, and then you make them their most notable role, like Christopher Eccleston and Jodie Whittaker. So David Tennant also was a bit of a mostly unknown until at least Casanova. But instead, they've gone with past companion actor, Billie Piper, specifically, who has worked with Bad Wolf the Company on I Hate Susie, and maybe had been someone that they had trusted with a surprise regeneration that was done last minute after Ncuti's departure. Now, Ncuti, by the sounds of it, they were hoping he might do 3 or 4 series, but due to Disney not really willing to make a decision on whether they'll recommission funding or distribution for the next season till, well, at time of recording, they still haven't made a decision yet. I don't know about when the video comes out, but season 2's finished. It's 3 days ago this evening, and no words on Disney moving forward yet. I mean, it was probably too much to ask for about having an immediate response, but hopefully within the week, we'll find out what they want to do. Okay, so because of that, and Ncuti's got other projects lined up, stuff starting in the summer, and they don't want to wait around for Disney to make the decision. And if they do go ahead and the filming does start around August, September, October, then he's probably busy with something else. So he decided to step down. And that's what we think, because by the sound, like the official stuff like Unleashed, they're all saying, oh, it was always the plan for him to do 2 seasons and then go. But it's more likely that it was plan B. They could have done one more Christmas special and then ended his tenure there, and they could have orchestrated that from the start rather than an optional ending to the reality war, depending on how things were looking at the time. But what's done is done now. He has officially gone, and to be honest, I didn't want him to go. He was one of my favourites. I would have loved to have had him, even just for one more episode, to give him a last hurrah, like how Twice Upon a Time did for the 12th Doctor. In my opinion, hopefully better. Then okay, but no. We got the ending of this version of Reality War. Okay, so new Doctor then. Okay, that's okay, right. So who do we get? They bring back a previous companion actor, and yeah, it's mostly for stunt casting and nostalgia bait, just like with Tennant as the 14th Doctor. But truth be told, yeah, I'm not too fond on this idea. I'll see how it goes, as per usual. We'll find out. Maybe it'll be amazing. Like I said, I was pleasantly proven wrong about 14. Well, I was happy to see David Tennant back. It's just him returning to play a different Doctor rather than the same Doctor. Wasn't so fond of. But like I said, I liked 14 even more. So who knows? Maybe I'll like 16. Maybe 16 will be one of my favourites, in spite of it, I mean, like I said, Billie Piper's a great actress, but because she's been a previous companion, I've got those reservations. But again, I'm hoping to be proven otherwise. On to the topic of the video. There has been, as mentioned, there was the speculation that maybe she isn't quite the 16th Doctor after all, because she wasn't credited as the Doctor. So who else could she be? Right, let's start the theories. So theory number 1 is, of course, not even a theory, it is the fact that she is indeed the 16th Doctor, whether you like it or not, as the 6th Doctor would say, or did say in Twin Dilemma. And this is basically just the theory of that there is no other thingies going on apart from why the Doctor is using a face of somebody they knew again, and hopefully that will be explained a bit better this time than with Tennant's face coming back. Maybe something closer to Peter Capaldi's Doctor, or a theory about why the Sixth Doctor has Colin Baker's that Matt did, and I think he mentioned it in his video on regenerations, so do go and check from a few years ago, so do go and check that out. Something's going on with the Doctor, possibly because Rose looked into the heart of the TARDIS and the Doctor put the regeneration into the TARDIS to bring back Poppy. So maybe now that they're regenerating, the TARDIS is lack of a better term, spitting out Rose's face back at the Doctor, possibly like with 12, to remind him of, or her, of the mark, to be the Doctor and save people, etc. Possibly. And that could work out really well, in all honesty. That suggestion is also a theory in on of itself, so I'll count as a bonus theory that the TARDIS gave the Doctor this face because of Rose looking into the heart of the TARDIS, rather than the Doctor picking or subconsciously choosing Rose's face. It was instead the TARDIS's idea to give him or her that face. So yeah, that's a bonus theory 1.5 in a way. Theory number 2, which is sort of an extension to theories 1 and 1.5, is that she is the Doctor, but not number 16, but rather like the War Doctor. They're going to be counted as sort of a in-between Doctor, the Gap Doctor, so to speak. So even though they'll be using disincarnation and life, and so I think it's the 15th Doctor because of what time of the Doctor established. It's the Ncuti was the 17th life with the 16th incarnation. So Billie Piper's, although the 16th, if they are the 16th Doctor, then it'd be the 17th incarnation, the 18th life. Go blame Stephen Moffat for all of that with Time of the Doctor. And however, if Billie Piper isn't counted as the 16th Doctor, then we have a John Hurt War Doctor situation, and basically, in which case, 16th Doctor after them would actually be the 18th incarnation on their 19th life. Well, I miss the days where we just had numbered Doctor, that's where they were in the timeline. Oh heck, I'm okay with one jump up with the War Doctor. And I suppose we kind of settled into that rhythm with this number Doctor, next number up is for the incarnation, and the following number for the life. So, for example, Capaldi was the 12th Doctor, but 13th incarnation, 14th life, etc. But now it's just, if this does happen, then that's just going to make it even more confusing. Don't forget that we don't know how many incarnations the Doctor was given after the time of the Doctor, or unlocked, because Timeless Children, they probably had infinite incarnations, but then were capped when they were regenerated into William Hartnell, or Baby, that would grow up into First Doctor played by William Hartnell. But Time of the Doctor, they could have given them infinite incarnations again. They're not sure how many they gave them in Hellbent, or they've unlocked that cap and said you just go back to what you used to be. Or it is the usual 13th lives again. If it's the case of that, then whoever's incarnation 26 is the last one and needs that next set of lives / the infinite number unlocked. My guess is the Timers just gave them infinite lives back. But yeah, you do start to lose track of the numbers if you're going to have more Doctors that do not count. This sort of was kind of what we speculated with 14, but I guess they made them 14, firstly because they had more stories in that point in time, and secondly because so it would make more sense then if they were a Gap Doctor and Ncuti was the 14th Doctor. However, that could happen here depending how many episodes Billie Piper is playing, and it would actually be a waste if they were just the 16th Doctor for 1 or 2, or even 3. And I mean, like I said, we knew going into the 60th David Tennant wasn't going to be there for too long, but at this point in time, we don't know what's going on with this series, so we don't know how many episodes Billie Piper will do, if any, beyond this one. Depends if the show does continue, although hopefully it will. Hope at least one series. So if they are the Doctor, whether the 16th Doctor or Gap Doctor, hopefully the former over the latter, then we'll hopefully get them for at least a single series, if not more. Honestly, I'd be happy for them to do the 3 seasons that RTD says he's got planned. But what about those non-Doctor characters people have been theorising that they might be actually playing instead? Well, firstly, you've got the idea of it possibly being Rose Tyler, either from the original Rose Tyler from the parallel world brought back into this universe, or an alternate timeline Rose Tyler, perhaps. I mean, this is very theoretically possible for both cases, and also could work out just as well. And maybe, again, has something to do with the TARDIS and the Bad Wolf connection from Series 1, tying in with what happened at the end of this story. And then again, they'd have to explain it, whether this is alternate universe Rose or Rose from the parallel world that she was trapped in, etc. The other suggestion is that it could be the moment / a Bad Wolf from the Day of the Doctor, as seen when, instead of bringing back Rose specifically, Stephen Moffat decided to instead create the character of the moment consciousness, the consciousness for the weapon, the moment, and brought Rose in, or rather the Bad Wolf version of Rose, as this moment's subconscious. And she actually had more scenes with John Hurt's Doctor than David Tennant, but she got to work opposite all 3 of those Doctors in that story, all 3 of the main Doctors, but mostly with John Hurt, which was pretty interesting to see. So maybe the moment has come back after all, or / the Bad Wolf, moment or Bad Wolf, they've come back. This does beg the question of if it is Rose or the moment or Bad Wolf, or moment / Bad Wolf, then what has happened to the 15th Doctor? Where's he gone? And when the Doctor does come back after Rose or the moment's episode or episodes bridging the gap, what happens then? Do we get a new Doctor who is the official 16th Doctor, which was the same that it could be said for the Gap Doctor, or if 16 is really short-lived and then we get a new 17th Doctor, or what? Or is 15 going to come back after a few episodes away, and then we just carry on a bit more, and then we get the proper regeneration later? In which case, does this counting as an official regeneration? Or does this, like with Stolen Earth Journey's End, or does this one, like Powder Doctor, maybe doesn't count? Not really. The Powder Doctor one, where the Doctor was made to become the Master and then reversed back. Some people count those, but personally, I don't count them. The one that going into the Master counts, and then it's reversed, and then it's uncounted, and then the proper 13th Doctor regeneration is later. So is that going to be the case? Now, one other theory I had that I haven't heard anybody else suggest, and this does kind of link in with the previous ones with it being Rose or Bad Wolf, but also maybe still staying in line with the 16th or Gap Doctor suggestions, could Billie Piper be playing the Valiard? A new version of the Valiard. Going to Big Finish for a bit with the 6th Doctor, The Last Adventure, which I've got down here to my left. Your right on screen, it's just down there. In the last story of that series, the 6th Doctor managed to, because the Valiard was tried to steal the 6th Doctor's lives through putting this sort of parasitical creature inside the TARDIS through some of the 6th Doctor's adventures in this mini-series. And eventually the 6th Doctor realizes that the radiation beams that the Rani was shooting out of Lakera from Time in the Rani, which was deadly to Time Lords, and so they avoided going near that, and then that's when the Valiard took over. So the Doctor realizes, in a fight to regain himself, in a fight to regain his body and consciousness and etc., continue being him instead of letting the Valiard take over, he deliberately makes sure that he flies into that radiation stuff in order to defeat the Valiard, which would end up killing him and making him become the 7th Doctor. But he ended up, as the 6th Doctor ended up dying a hero in order to stop the Valiard from taking over his lives, and therefore being evil and wreaking havoc across the universe. Typical Valiard stuff in the expanded media. So maybe, perhaps, a bit of that survived inside the TARDIS, just like with the Bad Wolf, Rose looking into the heart of the TARDIS thing. Maybe a bit of that happened. And also, don't forget that the Valiant is supposed to come from a dark, splitted off from the Doctor in a dark side of the Doctor, somewhere between the 12th and final regenerations. Now, final doesn't necessarily have to mean the 13th now, because of the new set of lives. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the Valiant split from the 10th, 11th Doctor regeneration and end of time. Although that would have been a good one to split off. And I think the Dream Lord served as a really good sort of Valiant-esque character for the 11th Doctor. But that was a one-off, unless they bring Toby Jones back. But we could have a new Valiant that sort of takes what happened to the original Valiant at the end of the Big Finish audio, coupled with the fact that we are now post the 12th regeneration, not including the time of the Shield and stuff, just starting from the first Doctor. We're past the 12th regeneration, which is actually the end of time because of the War Doctor and 10th Doctor regenerating into themselves in Stolen Earth Journey's End. So now it's somewhere after that. So maybe, and we've also had bi-generation, which sort of is a similar thing, but more physical by the looks of it, or at least the two incarnations, the old one and the new one, split off there, whilst with the Valiant, it's more of a splitting off from when the new one takes over from the old one, so to speak. So perhaps, maybe Billie Piper's playing the Valiant, or perhaps a new Valiant who then goes on to create the old one. And, the Valiant, of course, can't come back in their original form because, sadly, Michael Jason has passed away a year ago. But in some of those audios, and even on the TV, he was able to disguise himself as other people, perhaps. And Last Avenger did have him create new avatar characters to become, and then eventually taking over them. Perhaps he did that one more time, or the consciousness of the TARDIS mixes with what it mixed with the Bad Wolf, looking into the heart of the TARDIS, mixing with what remains of the Valiant, and boom, you get a Valiant who is in the looks and sounds like Rose Tyler, but is actually secretly evil Rose Tyler from the Empire of the Wolf comic. I have to read that comic. I've got it. I have to read it. Maybe I will for this. Maybe as a special occasion. Anyway, so maybe this is the Valiant, and perhaps their plan is to create the original Valiant later down the line. But at some point, they're then forced to become the next Doctor. At some point, or maybe some of the old Doctors will come back to stop them. Maybe they will bring back Sheety's Doctor for some scenes where they're able to push the Valiant out and bring in the real 16th Doctor. Who knows? But I thought I'd throw that one in just to be on the safe side. But it also does mean that Rusty Davis actually does have to listen to a Big Finish audio and make it canon. He's kind of ignored most of the expanded media stuff, other than the Omega Stephen Thorne lines in Wishworld coming from Gallifrey 6. But yeah, the Sixth Doctor, The Last Adventure, would have to be made to be canon to the TV series in order for this to happen. Which, please do. It is his proper regeneration story. Please, please, please acknowledge it. Anyway, that's some suggestions, but what do you guys think? Do you think this is a bit of wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff, or is the Doctor just taking Rose's face and voice for this new incarnation? Are they just inspired by them? Is the TARDIS got anything to do with it? Is it the real Rose, or the moment / Bad Wolf? Or could it be someone else who's trying to take advantage of this situation, such as the Valiant? Comment down below what you think. Personally, I'm 95% sure it's going to be the Doctor. Either somehow remember, deciding to use Rose's face, or it just turned out that way, or the TARDIS decides, why don't you use this one? So I'm 95% sure the 16th Doctor, or maybe a gap Doctor like the John Hurt one, and then the next Doctor is number 16 properly. I'm pretty sure either one of those two, 95% sure it's one of those, and then the others are in a 5% maybe. Possibly could be. We're not certain yet. Well, who knows? Maybe the rug will be ripped underneath us, and it's told that she is actually the Valiard or something. That'd be funny. I hope they've done more justice than Sutek and Omega. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching this video, and also don't forget to check out Jean's video about the alternate ending to the reality war that we didn't get. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.